Now, if Republicans control Capitol Hill, it's anyone's guess whether on foreign policy, Washington will be more hawkish or isolationist. Well, joining us, he's one of the Arab world's most influential political scientists. He's former Lebanese government minister, top UN official, now dean of the Paris School of International Affairs and chair of International Crisis Group, Ghassan Salamé. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Will the U.S. be more or less involved over the next 2 years in places like Syria, Iraq, Iran?
I'm afraid after these elections, we may have an isolationist America, and even more one. The public opinion, all the polls we have, indicate that there is no real interest of getting engaged all over the world. I don't think these elections are going to change this in an opposite direction. My feeling is that this line is going to be confirmed by the elections, even if the Republicans win the Senate.
All right, let's talk about a specific case here. There are the nuclear talks taking place with Iran. They're due to finish in November. They're probably going to be extended. If they are, will Republicans scupper the deal? This has to go through the Senate.
Well, there is one guy in the world watching these elections with a lot of interest. That's Ayatollah Khamenei. If he feels that the Senate is going to be won by the Republicans, if he knows that the Republicans are not going to ratify an agreement, he will be much less determined to make any concessions when the two sides meet again on 17th of November for a week, the final week before a possible extension. I agree with you that an extension is the most likely scenario, but extension how? You have different ways of looking at this extension. Either you consider that a draft agreement is there and you say that there are a few other things to be settled, or you say that progress has been made, but we need more time to look into it. These are two different ways of showing the
you're saying the Iranians can afford to play hardball?
They can. They certainly can.
More than the Americans?
No. In fact, they will have an additional agreement, an additional reason to play hardball, because they know that the agreement will not be ratified in the Senate if an anti-agreement majority wins the next Senate in the U.S.
And when it comes to taking on the jihadists in Iraq and Syria?
Well, this is another story. I'm told there is a war there, but I don't see it. I don't see such a war. I see a coalition of governments, dozens of them, including the Canadians today, ready and willing to use their air force to go and bomb positions, targets. Sometimes they don't even find targets to bomb, because with this very fluid movement and organization, it's hard to find barracks, it's hard to find arsenals, it's hard to find real targets for air bombing. You need something on the ground. The West doesn't want to have boots on the ground. The countries in the region are not welcomed, neither in Iraq nor in Syria. So what is left is to find a group of tribes and other militiamen in Iraq to go and fight, and to find the same kind of sort of configuration in Syria. This will take ages. This is not happening right now because of many reasons. First, because the American troops are not there to support them as they were in 2007. Second, because there is a deeper sectarian divide in Iraq and in Syria. And also because the Islamic State is a much stronger enemy than Al-Qaeda had been in 2007. That is why it's not really taking off yet. Let's have our fingers crossed that it will take off one day. But for the time being, I see the Islamic State taking new gas fields in Syria, one last week, another one yesterday. I see that they overtook a complete new province in Iraq, Heat, with a new massacre of a tribe there, the Bunimir, and I don't see a real war. I see some air power being used, but this is not war.
All right, it's going to play out over the long run. One final question. France and Lebanon signing this Saudi-financed deal for weapons, $3 billion worth of weapons. The Saudis give the money, the French providing the weapons. How's Lebanon weathering the Syria spillover?
Well, I mean, this is a situation with no precedent, really. You have institutions that are, to a large extent, extent paralyzed, handicapped. You have borders, very porous borders to Syria and also to refugees from Iraq now. And on top of that, you have a regional upheaval that has no precedent in Syria, in Iraq, and elsewhere. Therefore, with these three combined, it's a miracle that Lebanon still survives. It is surviving, and these new weapons to the Lebanese army will certainly help Lebanon survive, but let's pray every night before we go to bed that this miracle extends for a few more weeks and months.
All right, Ghassan Salamé, many thanks for joining us here today
Thank you.
on France 24.